There comes a moment in life when you must decide who truly commands your mind, your emotions, and your spirit. That moment is not when everything is going smoothly, but when storms arise, when insults are thrown, when doubt presses heavily against your heart, and when circumstances tempt you to break, to bend, and to surrender. True strength is not measured in the absence of struggle, but in the way you carry yourself when struggle appears. The secret to personal power is to learn to act as if nothing bothers you. This is not because nothing matters, but because you refuse to give control of your spirit to anything outside yourself. The man or woman who can stand in the face of difficulty and wear composure as a crown has already risen above the masses. For most people are slaves to reaction. They allow small words to injure their pride, minor setbacks to destroy their peace, and temporary defeats to dictate their destiny. They hand over their power at the slightest provocation, like someone handing their fortune to a thief. But those who learn the art of indifference, not indifference to life, but indifference to negativity, become untouchable. Think of the river. The river does not argue with the stone that blocks its way. It does not complain, it does not beg, it simply flows around it, over it, or wears it down with persistence until the stone becomes part of its course. The river acts as if nothing bothers it, and because of this, it never stops moving toward its destination. The same must be true for you. Life will place stones in your path. Critics, failures, betrayals, disappointments. If you allow these stones to stop your flow, you betray yourself. But if you act as though they cannot disturb your current, you will remain in motion toward your vision. There is a hidden law at work here. That which you refuse to let disturb you loses its power over you. Weakness grows in reaction. Strength grows in stillness. When you remain calm in the face of insult, the insulter loses his weapon. When you remain unmoved in the face of failure, failure loses its sting. When you remain steady in the face of chaos, chaos bows to your command. The world does not shape the man who is immune to disturbance. Instead, the man shapes the world. Understand this truth. You cannot rise to greatness while being governed by irritation. Every second spent in anger is a second robbed from creation. Every ounce of energy wasted in reacting is an ounce stolen from building. If you wish to become a master of destiny, you must become a master of composure. The ability to act as if nothing bothers you is not a sign of weakness. It is the highest form of strength. The lion does not flinch when the small dog barks. The eagle does not descend to argue with the crow. True kings and queens of life keep their focus above, for they know that distraction is the language of the ordinary and focus is the mark of the extraordinary. Now, many will say, "But I am human. Things bother me. How can I pretend otherwise?" The answer lies not in pretending, but in choosing. You may feel the heat of anger rise, but you need not let it dictate your words. You may feel the pang of disappointment, but you need not let it decide your actions. Emotions will come as winds, but you are the captain of your vessel. The wind does not control the sail unless the captain abandons the wheel. To act as if nothing bothers you means to take command of your vessel and to steer it toward your chosen shore regardless of how strong the gusts may blow. Let me tell you a truth that the average person never understands. People respect calm more than they respect rage. The individual who cannot be rattled becomes a figure of influence. When you meet someone who cannot be shaken, you instinctively trust them, for their composure signals inner mastery. In business and leadership, in relationships, the one who acts as if nothing bothers them holds the higher ground. It is the foundation of persuasion, the essence of charisma, the seed of unshakable confidence. But let us be clear. Acting as if nothing bothers you is not about burying pain or denying reality. It is about perspective. You train your mind to see every obstacle as temporary, every insult as meaningless, every defeat as education, every delay as preparation. With this perspective, what could possibly disturb you? If life delays your dream, you smile, for you know delay is not denial. If others mock your vision, you nod, for you know their laughter is but noise, while your work is destiny. If you stumble today, you rise tomorrow, for you know stumbling is part of walking. Nothing can truly bother the one who sees beyond the surface of events. The world tests you with resistance, not to break you, but to prove you. Every bother is a classroom where patience is taught. Every irritation is a forge where strength is made. Every storm is a theater where character is revealed. The question is never will challenges come, The question is, how will you conduct yourself when they arrive? The weak are loud in complaint, but the strong are silent in determination. The weak shout at the storm, but the strong adjust their sails. The weak seek sympathy, but the strong seek solutions. Which are you becoming? I urge you to cultivate this inner armor. Wake each day with a vow. No man's insult shall wound me. No failure shall halt me. No delay shall discourage me. No difficulty shall steal my joy. Repeat it until your mind obeys. Condition yourself as a soldier conditions his reflexes, so that when life strikes, your composure remains unbroken. People will notice. They will try harder to shake you, and when they cannot, they will respect you. They will begin to believe in you because you believe in yourself enough to remain unmoved. You must understand that your power is too valuable to be wasted on petty battles. Do not lower yourself to fight with every barking dog along your journey. Let them bark, for their noise cannot wound you unless you choose to hear it as truth. Every second you engage with them is a second stolen from your march toward greatness. The one who acts as if nothing bothers them walks faster, reaches further, and climbs higher, for their eyes are fixed not on the ground, but on the summit. Let me remind you of this. Success requires energy, and energy wasted on reaction leaves none for creation. The entrepreneur who spends his nights fuming at critics cannot build by day. The dreamer who spends her mornings in regret cannot create by afternoon. The leader who spends his hours defending ego cannot guide his people to victory. Only the one who disciplines themselves to act as if nothing bothers them carries their energy forward into constructive purpose. Life is a mirror. If you scowl at it, it scowls back. If you smile, it smiles. If you act bothered, the world sends you more reasons to be bothered. But if you act unshaken, the world begins to yield. When you radiate calm, you attract trust. When you radiate indifference to negativity, you repel it. When you radiate focus, you magnetize opportunity. This is no accident. It is the law of attraction, law of vibration, the law of cause and effect. You are always attracting what you embody. Embody composure, and you will draw power. Some may argue that ignoring problems is foolish, but we are not speaking of ignorance. We are speaking of mastery. The one who acts as if nothing bothers them is not blind to reality. They see reality, but they choose to respond as creators, not reactors. They handle problems with reason, not rage, with patience, not panic, with confidence, not collapse. And in doing so, they solve them faster and with greater wisdom. Panic clouds the mind, composure clears it. Anger blinds the eyes, calm opens them. Worry locks the hands, peace frees them. You must rise to the point where your peace becomes non-negotiable. Guard it as you would your treasure, for it is the root of all power. Money can be stolen, possessions can be taken, but inner peace, once mastered, cannot be touched by any man. To act as if nothing bothers you is to declare to the world, my mind is mine. My emotions are mine. My destiny is mine. No insult, no setback, no storm shall rob me of my command. That is the highest victory a human being can claim. Imagine living this way. Imagine walking into every room with the certainty that nothing can shake you. Imagine facing rejection and smiling because you know rejection is redirection. Imagine failing and laughing because you know failure is fertilizer. Imagine being mocked and feeling pity, not anger, because you know mockery is the confession of the small-minded. Imagine how unstoppable you would be if nothing bothered you. The world would bend before you, for the world bends before those who bend for nothing. This is your challenge to practice daily, to condition yourself until composure becomes your natural state. At first it will be difficult. You will feel irritation rise like fire in your chest. You will feel insults sting your pride. You will feel frustration claw at your patience. But each time you choose composure, you strengthen your will. Each time you refuse to react, you sharpen your power. Each time you act as if nothing bothers you, you grow closer to mastery. And soon it will no longer be an act. It will be your truth. You will no longer pretend to be unbothered. You will truly be unbothered. What once disturbed you will seem laughable. What once wounded you will feel weightless. What once stopped you will now propel you. And when you reach this stage, you will know freedom as few ever tasted. For freedom is not merely the absence of chains on your body, but the absence of chains on your spirit. So I say to you now, learn this art, embrace this discipline, embody this philosophy. Let no man's words, no event's noise, no storm's fury rob you of your inner kingdom. Act as if nothing bothers you until nothing does. Share yourself with the calm of the river, the stillness of the mountain, the certainty of the sun. For the world belongs not to the frantic, not to the worried, not to the easily disturbed. The world belongs to those who are unshakable, untouchable, and unstoppable. And you, if you choose, can be one of them. Power belongs to the one who refuses to be disturbed. Nothing controls you unless you let it. Think about that deeply for a moment. In every situation, no matter how chaotic, no matter how heavy the storm, no matter how cruel the words spoken against you, the final authority over your peace rests in your own mind. Life will always offer you chances to surrender your strength. It will provoke you, test you, tempt you to give away your energy in reaction. Yet, you remain the gatekeeper of your emotions. You alone decide whether a circumstance will weaken you or sharpen you, whether an insult will humiliate you or simply pass through you like wind. The world only has as much power over you as you are willing to grant it. Consider for a moment those who rise to greatness in the face of adversity. What separates them from the ordinary? It is not that they live free from problems. In fact, their problems are often larger, their critics louder, and their obstacles more daunting. But they have trained themselves in a principle the masses neglect. They refuse to be disturbed. They understand that if they allow themselves to be rattled by every blow, they will waste their strength in battles that do not matter. Their power is preserved, not by avoiding storms, but by remaining steady within them. When you give in to disturbance, you become a puppet. Someone insults you and you react with rage. Someone doubts you and you retreat in fear. A failure occurs, and you collapse into despair. Notice what has happened here. You have handed the keys of your mind to external forces. Others push the buttons, and you dance to their tune. This is not power. This is slavery. True power is reclaiming those keys, deciding that no word, no action, no event outside yourself has the right to determine how you will feel or what you will do. That choice belongs only to you. You may say, "But I cannot control what I feel." That is partly true. You may not control the first spark of emotion, but you can control the fire it becomes. Anger may rise, but you can choose silence instead of shouting. Fear may appear, but you can choose persistence instead of retreat. Disappointment may sting, but you can choose determination instead of despair. The first feeling may be automatic, but the response is always a choice. The one who realizes this and practices it daily gains a strength that is almost supernatural. Think of water in a storm. The wind thrashes it. The waves crash, but deep beneath the surface, the ocean remains calm, unmoved. That is the kind of strength you must cultivate. Surface-level emotions will always come and go, but beneath them lies a stillness you can claim. It is the stillness of a mind anchored in self-command. When you refuse to be disturbed, you are no longer at the mercy of events, you are their master. Understand, too, that the world respects composure more than it respects reaction. The one who cannot be shaken, who walks with quiet confidence even when challenged, commands trust. People instinctively follow those who remain calm under pressure. They sense that such a person has tapped into a deeper source of power. The opposite is also true. Those who are easily rattled, who show anger, fear, or frustration at every turn, lose influence quickly. Nobody places faith in a leader who cannot control themselves. Self-mastery is the first and most vital form of leadership. If you want to succeed in business, relationships, or any pursuit of greatness, you must develop this discipline. Do not give away your peace to circumstances unworthy of it. A critic may try to tear you down. Let them, for their words cannot touch your vision unless you hand it over. A competitor may try to intimidate you. Smile, for intimidation works only on those who believe they are weak. Life may knock you down. Rise with calm resolve, for falling does not define you, but rising does. In every case, disturbance is optional, and the refusal to be disturbed is the essence of power. Now, let us take this idea deeper. What does it mean to refuse to be disturbed? It does not mean that you ignore reality. It does not mean that you pretend difficulties do not exist. It means that you choose your perspective consciously. It means that instead of asking, why is this happening to me, you ask, how can this serve me? It means that instead of feeling victimized, you feel tested, and tests are opportunities to grow. It means that instead of reacting to noise, you remain focused on signal, on the truth that matters, your mission, your values, your destiny. There is great freedom in this way of living. Imagine walking through life knowing that no insult can truly harm you, no failure can truly defeat you, no rejection can truly diminish you. Imagine carrying yourself with such steadiness that people wonder what secret strength you possess. That secret strength is nothing mystical. It is simply the mastery of refusing disturbance. When nothing controls you, when nothing pulls you off your path, you become unstoppable. And do not think this mastery comes overnight. It is a discipline built through daily practice. Each time life sends you a disturbance, you are being handed a training ground. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Do you curse and rage, or do you smile and continue unbothered? Someone doubts your dream. Do you shrink and argue, or do you carry on building silently? A project fails. Do you wallow in self-pity, or do you learn and try again with more wisdom? Each of these moments is a chance to strengthen your refusal. Each time you choose calm over chaos, you become more powerful. Eventually, something remarkable happens. You no longer have to force yourself to stay calm. You simply are calm. Disturbance no longer shakes you because you have trained yourself into a higher state of being. You rise above the noise, and while others waste their lives in reaction, you move forward in creation. You are no longer chained to circumstance. You dictate circumstance. And that is true freedom. Power belongs to the one who refuses to be disturbed. Do not hand your emotions to others. Do not let the world drag you into petty battles. Keep your focus, guard your peace, and move with calm determination. Nothing controls you unless you let it, and the day you accept this truth is the day you claim your authority over life. From that moment, you become a force no storm can shake, no critic can weaken, no failure can stop. You become the master of yourself, and in mastering yourself, you master everything else. Strength is not in reaction, but in composure. Storms cannot sink a ship whose captain remains steady. There is a profound lesson hidden in this truth, one that separates those who crumble under pressure from those who rise above it. Too many people mistake loud reactions, fierce arguments, or heated emotions for strength, when in reality these are symptoms of weakness. True strength reveals itself not in the noise of reaction, but in the quiet power of composure. Life will test you with storms. There will be times when everything you planned seems to collapse, when those you trusted disappoint you, when the path you walk becomes blocked by obstacles that feel immovable. In these moments, most people respond with panic. They lash out in anger. They despair in hopelessness, or they freeze in fear. Their reaction becomes their downfall, not the storm itself. But the individual who understands the principle of composure stands tall amidst the chaos. They do not deny the storm, nor do they pretend it is pleasant, but they refuse to be mastered by it. Like the captain of a ship, they grip the wheel firmly, eyes fixed on the horizon, steady in both hand and spirit. It is not the waves that decide the ship's fate, it is the steadiness of its captain. Reaction is easy. Anyone can shout when insulted, curse when frustrated, or collapse when defeated. Reaction is instinctive, animalistic, and uncontrolled. It takes no discipline to react. It takes no mastery to lose yourself in emotion. But composure, that is strength forged through discipline. Composure requires self-mastery, perspective, and trust in your own ability to endure. It is the mark of someone who has decided once and for all that nothing outside them will dictate the state of what is within. Think about the difference between fire and steel. Fire flares up in seconds and burns out just as quickly, destroying everything in its path. Steel, however, is calm, steady, and unyielding. It withstands pressure without losing form. Reaction is like fire, loud, destructive, temporary. Composure is like steel, silent, strong, lasting. The one who reacts may feel powerful for a moment, but the one who remains composed commands true authority in the long run. There is a story told often of great leaders and generals who faced overwhelming odds. While their soldiers trembled, they stood calm Their voices steady, their expressions firm. That composure spread like wildfire, not of panic, but of confidence. The men who saw their leader unshaken became unshaken themselves. The leader's strength was not in a fiery outburst, not in frantic reaction, but in the calm certainty of composure. Storms cannot sink a ship whose captain remains steady. In the same way, life cannot defeat a soul that remains composed. Now consider your own life. How often have you been derailed, not by the problem itself, but by your reaction to it? How often has worry consumed more energy than the challenge ever demanded? How often has anger destroyed relationships that could have been preserved with patience? How often has panic led to mistakes that composure could have prevented? You see, the real danger is rarely the storm. It is the way we choose to meet it. Composure is a discipline, and like all disciplines, it must be trained. You must begin by observing your own tendencies. Notice the moments when you feel yourself about to react, the insult that stirs anger, the delay that sparks frustration, the setback that breeds despair. In that very moment lies your opportunity. If you seize it, if you pause, breathe, and remind yourself that strength lies in composure, you begin to train your mind to respond differently. With practice, what once provoked you into reaction will no longer move you. The storm may rage, but you will hold the wheel steady. There is great freedom in composure. A composed mind sees more clearly. Reaction blinds you, clouds your judgment, narrows your vision. Composure opens your eyes, sharpens your reason, and reveals solutions you could never find in a frenzy of emotion. The composed individual may not control the storm, but they always control their vessel. And because they control their vessel, they eventually outlast a storm. This truth also applies to influence. People are naturally drawn to those who remain composed. We trust the calm pilot in turbulence, not the one who panics. We follow the calm leader in crisis, not the one who rages. We respect the calm fighter in battle, not the one who loses control. Composure is a silent language of leadership. It communicates, I am in control. I cannot be shaken. You can rely on me. That silent assurance is worth more than 1,000 loud reactions. You may argue that reacting shows passion, that it proves you care, but passion without control is self-destruction. Passion must be channeled, not unleashed recklessly. A fire contained within a furnace can forge steel, but a fire released wildly will burn everything, including the one who lit it. In the same way, your energy must be directed through composure. It is not that you care less, it is that you care so much about your vision that you refuse to let reaction derail it. Think of the great oak tree. The storm beats against it, the winds howl, yet it stands tall. It bends but does not break. That is composure. Compare it to the fragile reed that snaps under the same storm because it reacts wildly to the wind. Which are you becoming? Will you be the oak that holds its ground, or the reed that breaks at the first blow? Life will never stop sending storms. In fact, the higher you climb, the more severe the storms will become. Success does not eliminate challenges, it multiplies them. But if you master composure, you will rise above them all. For storms can never sink a ship whose captain remains steady. Your composure is your anchor, your shield, your fortress. It is the secret that allows you to endure while others fall, to succeed while others quit, to lead while others follow. So I say to you, guard your composure as you would guard your greatest treasure. Do not give it away to critics. Do not surrender it to setbacks. Do not sacrifice it to frustration. Hold steady, for in that steadiness lies your strength. When the storm comes, and it surely will, remember that the outcome is not decided by the waves, but by the captain. And you, if you choose composure over reaction, will guide your ship through every tempest until you reach the shore of your destiny. Energy wasted on irritation is energy stolen from creation. Protect your focus at all costs. Nothing is more valuable than your energy, for it is the fuel that powers your vision, your work, and your destiny. Every great achievement in history, every invention, every discovery, every masterpiece was built by a man or woman who knew how to guard their energy and direct it toward creation. Yet most people waste this fuel on irritation, scattering it in 1,000 directions, leaving nothing left for building the life they desire. Irritation is a thief. It robs you of the strength you could have poured into something meaningful. It distracts your mind, consumes your spirit, and steals your focus. If you are serious about success, you must make a vow. I will not allow irritation to rob me of creation. Think for a moment about the small irritations that fill an ordinary day. Someone cuts you off in traffic and you spend the next half hour replaying it in your mind. A coworker makes a careless comment and you brood over it instead of working. A plan is delayed and you waste hours complaining about it instead of adapting. These moments seem harmless, but they are deadly because they steal energy in silence. Like leaks in a ship, they do not sink you instantly, but they weaken you continuously. By the time you realize it, the energy that could have been invested in progress has been drained by reaction. Creation requires focus, and focus requires discipline. You cannot build, you cannot innovate, you cannot advance if your mind is tangled in irritation. The artist cannot paint with steady hands if consumed by frustration. The entrepreneur cannot create wealth if distracted by every critic. The leader cannot inspire others if their mind is clouded by anger. To create is to channel energy in a single direction. Irritation scatters it, leaving nothing concentrated enough to produce greatness. There is a principle in science. Energy cannot be destroyed, only transferred. The same is true of your life. The energy you waste in irritation does not vanish. It is simply transferred away from creation. If you spend your day in anger, that energy could have been spent in strategy. If you spend your night in resentment, that energy could have been spent in learning. If you spend your morning in complaint, that energy could have been spent in planning. Every moment of irritation is a moment stolen from your future. The truth is, irritation often disguises itself as righteousness. You feel justified in your anger, in your frustration, in your complaints. You tell yourself you have the right to be irritated. But ask yourself, what has your irritation ever built? What masterpiece was ever created in rage? What empire was ever built on complaint? Irritation produces nothing of value. Creation produces everything of value. The great divide between the average and the extraordinary is not talent or luck. It is the discipline to redirect energy from irritation into creation. Protecting your focus is a war you must fight daily. The world is full of distractions designed to provoke you to steal your energy. Media thrives on outrage. Enemies thrive on your reaction. Even your own habits may pull you into frustration. But you are not helpless. You can train your mind to treat irritation as a signal, a warning that energy is being stolen. When you feel yourself growing irritated, do not indulge it. Pause. Ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Or could this energy be better spent creating? Most of the time, the answer is obvious. The irritation is petty, temporary, and meaningless. The creation you are capable of, however, is lasting, powerful, and transformative. Think of the farmer who must water his crops. He has a limited supply of water each day. If he wastes it by spilling it into the dirt, his fields go dry and no harvest comes. Irritation is the spilling of water. It feels like something is happening, but nothing grows from it. Creation is the watering of the field. It is patient, intentional, and always fruitful. If you waste your water on irritation, do not be surprised when your field produces nothing. But if you guard it and pour it into creation, you will enjoy abundance beyond measure. This is why protecting your focus is not optional. It is essential. Your focus is the shield that guards your energy. Without it, you are vulnerable to every irritation. With it, you become untouchable. People may provoke you, circumstances may frustrate you, but your focus keeps you centered on creation. The most successful people in history have always been ruthless about protecting their focus. They ignored criticism, resisted petty conflicts, and refused to waste time on small distractions. They understood that energy is finite, and only those who direct it wisely reach the heights of greatness. Now ask yourself, how much of your life has been wasted in irritation? How many days have you thrown away in anger at things you could not change? How many opportunities have you missed because you were too distracted by complaint to notice the chance in front of you? How many dreams have you delayed because your energy was drained by reaction instead of invested in creation? Be honest, and then make a decision. No more. From this moment forward, you must treat your energy like gold. Guard it. Value it. Spend it only on what builds your future. Remember this. Creation is not just about art or business, it is about life itself. Every moment you choose composure over irritation, you are creating peace. Every moment you choose focus over distraction, you are creating progress. Every moment you choose patience over reaction, you are creating strength. Your life is a masterpiece in progress, and irritation is the vandal trying to deface it. Refuse to give it the chance. Imagine where you could be in 1 year if you redirected every ounce of wasted irritation into purposeful creation. Imagine the book you could write, the business you could build, the skills you could master, the life you could design. All of this is possible if you stop giving your energy to what does not matter and start giving it only to what does. Your future depends not on how much energy you have, but on how you spend it. Waste it on irritation, and your life will be small. Invest it in creation, and your life will be great. So guard your focus. Refuse to be drained. When irritation knocks, remember that it comes only to steal from you. Smile at it, dismiss it, and redirect your energy toward something worthy. For energy wasted on irritation is energy stolen from creation, and creation is the only path to greatness. Protect your focus at all costs, for in doing so, you protect your destiny. When you act unbothered, obstacles lose their power. Silence and calm disarm chaos. Life is filled with forces that will attempt to throw you off balance. There will be people who provoke you, events that frustrate you, and circumstances that test you. The average person gives in, reacting with anger, fear, or despair. Yet in those very moments, the secret to power lies in one simple choice: to act unbothered. When you refuse to show agitation, when you hold your calm like a shield, the obstacles before you begin to shrink. What once looked overwhelming becomes manageable. What once felt chaotic loses its sting. Calm is not weakness, it is the highest expression of strength. Most people misunderstand obstacles. They think obstacles are physical walls, immovable barriers standing in the way of their success. In truth, obstacles are magnified by the way you respond to them. The same problem that crushes one person barely scratches another. The difference is not in the problem, but in the mindset. A problem grows when you panic, shrinks when you stay calm, and disappears when you act with focus. Chaos thrives on reaction. It feeds on your frustration, your anger, your fear. But silence and calm starve it. Chaos cannot fight someone who does not engage. Think of a fire. Feed it oxygen and it grows. Deny it oxygen and it suffocates. Your reactions are oxygen to obstacles. Every time you shout, panic, or complain, you feed the fire, making it stronger. But when you act unbothered, when you remain calm and silent, you deny the fire its fuel. Slowly, the chaos burns out on its own. The obstacle may still be there, but its power over you vanishes. You stand above it, not beneath it. There is an elegance in silence that most overlook. Silence speaks louder than words when the world expects noise. When others expect you to argue, your silence disarms them. When problems expect you to crumble, your calm surprises them. This is not passivity, it is control. It is the art of refusing to give unnecessary energy to forces that do not deserve it. By acting unbothered, you conserve your strength for solutions rather than wasting it in reactions. History is filled with examples of men and women who mastered this art. Leaders who stood unshaken while the world around them collapsed inspired nations to remain hopeful. Innovators who faced ridicule with calm instead of outrage eventually proved their doubters wrong. Visionaries who endured delay and failure without complaint continued building until their dreams materialized. Their silence was not weakness, it was focus. Their calm was not indifference, it was mastery. Obstacles are not always external, many are internal. Doubt, fear, insecurity, these can feel louder than any critic. Yet the same principle applies when you act unbothered by your own doubts. When you refuse to panic in the presence of fear, their power fades. Fear feeds on attention. Insecurity grows when you obsess over it. Doubt becomes paralyzing when you argue with it. But when you remain calm, when you carry on in silence, those inner obstacles lose their grip. You move forward, and step by step, your confidence grows stronger than the voices within. The greatest warriors are not the ones who scream into battle, but the ones who walk into it steady and composed. Their silence intimidates more than shouting ever could. Calmness communicates certainty, and certainty disarms chaos. The same is true in your life. The more unbothered you appear, the more power you project. People sense strength in those who cannot be rattled. They respect those who face storms with steady eyes. They admire those who smile at obstacles instead of collapsing under them. But how do you cultivate this unbothered composure? It begins with perspective. You must understand that obstacles are not permanent. They are temporary challenges designed to test your resolve. What feels like chaos today will one day be a story you tell. What feels impossible now will one day be behind you. When you know this, why waste energy on panic? Why feed fear with reaction? By training your mind to see beyond the present moment, you teach yourself to remain calm. It also requires discipline. Each day, life will hand you small irritations, delays, criticism, mistakes. Use these as practice. When you feel the urge to argue, choose silence. When you feel frustration boiling, breathe deeply and choose calm. With every act of unbothered composure, you grow stronger. Eventually, it becomes your nature. You will no longer pretend to be calm. You will truly be calm. Obstacles will come, but they will no longer have the power to disturb your spirit. Understand this. Calm is not avoidance. It is not pretending the obstacle does not exist. Calm is facing the obstacle without fear, without panic, without wasting energy on reaction. Calm is the decision to respond with clarity, to think clearly, to act effectively. When you are calm, you see solutions others miss. When you are calm, you have energy others waste. When you are calm, you stand tall while others fall apart. Silence and calm also teach you patience. Not every obstacle requires immediate battle. Some problems resolve themselves if you do not feed them. Some critics grow tired when ignored. Some chaos dissolves when left alone. By acting unbothered, you allow time to do its work. You do not need to fight every battle. You only need to fight the right ones. Calm helps you choose wisely, while reaction makes you fight everything. Imagine yourself in a storm at sea. The waves are crashing, the winds are howling. A panicked captain would scream orders, make reckless decisions, and eventually sink the ship. A calm captain, however, studies the waves, adjusts the sails, and steers steadily. The storm is the same, but the outcome is different because of composure. You are the captain of your own ship. Your storms may come in the form of failures, criticism, or setbacks, but the principle remains unchanged. Storms cannot sink you if you remain steady. Acting unbothered is a signal to yourself and the world. To yourself, it says, I am in control. I will not be mastered by this challenge. To the world, it says, I am untouchable. I am not moved by chaos. This double message empowers you and disarms everything against you. Obstacles feed on your fear. When they see no fear, they weaken. Chaos feeds on your reaction. When it meets silence, it collapses. So the next time life tests you with chaos, remember this principle. Do not waste your voice arguing with critics. Do not waste your energy panicking over delays. Do not waste your spirit fighting battles that do not matter. Hold your silence, guard your calm, and act unbothered. For when you do, obstacles lose their power, chaos disarms itself, and the path ahead becomes clearer than you imagined. In the end, success is not given to the loudest, the angriest, or the most reactive. It is given to the calm, the steady, the unshakable. Silence and composure are not signs of weakness. They are weapons of the strong. Learn to act unbothered, and you will find that the mountains you once feared are nothing more than stepping stones on your way to greatness. The lion does not flinch at barking dogs. Greatness never stoops to petty battles. In the kingdom of life, the lion is not disturbed by every sound, every movement, every noise made by creatures beneath its strength. It does not lose its dignity by chasing every dog that dares to bark at it. It understands its position, its dominance, and its purpose. The lion knows that its roar alone is enough to command respect, that its silence carries more weight than 1,000 outbursts. This truth holds a profound lesson. If you desire greatness, you must learn not to waste your energy on petty battles. Not every insult requires a reply, not every critic deserves your time, and not every distraction should pull you from your path. The strongest among us are not those who fight every little fight, but those who choose their battles wisely. The weak are reactive. They jump at every provocation, argue with every challenger, and scatter their energy across meaningless disputes. In doing so, they lose focus on their true mission. The great, on the other hand, rise above. They do not bend down to quarrel with the small-minded. They do not cheapen their vision by engaging in battles that bring no progress. They keep their eyes on the prize, their energy reserved for mountains worth climbing, their spirit aligned with a destiny too grand to be wasted on trivialities. Think of the life you are building. Every ounce of your energy is precious. Every second of your time is priceless. When you waste these on petty arguments, gossip, envy, or the noise of critics, you rob yourself of the fuel needed to achieve greatness. The barking dogs of life will always be there. People will criticize you, mock your dreams, question your motives, and try to drag you into disputes. But what happens if you respond to all of them? You become consumed with defense rather than progress. You spend more time proving yourself than improving yourself. That is not the path of the lion. That is the path of distraction. Greatness requires focus, and focus demands that you learn to ignore the barking dogs. Their noise cannot harm you unless you give it power. Words alone cannot derail your destiny unless you allow them to seep into your spirit. The lion understands this. It knows that barking is not biting, that noise is not danger. It saves its strength for true threats, for real hunts, for meaningful battles that matter. Likewise, you must recognize what deserves your energy and what does not. Not every challenge is worthy of your response. Not every insult must be avenged. Sometimes the highest form of strength is silence, and the greatest display of confidence is walking away. History has shown this principle repeatedly. The visionaries who changed the world were constantly barked at by critics, doubters, and cynics. They were called crazy, mocked, dismissed, and attacked. But they did not stop to argue with every voice. They stayed focused on their mission, and in the end, their results silenced the noise. Greatness is its own defense. Success is its own rebuttal. Victory is the only answer you ever need to the barking dogs. The truth is that barking dogs bark because they are small, insecure, and threatened by what they see in you. The louder they bark, the more it reveals their own fear. But if you stoop to fight them, you lower yourself to their level. You step out of your role as lion and wrestle in the mud with those who do not deserve your presence. In doing so, you weaken yourself. You trade dignity for distraction. You exchange destiny for drama. That is why greatness never stoops to petty battles. It knows the cost is too high. When you rise in life, the barking will grow louder. The closer you get to your purpose, the more voices will try to pull you down. This is the natural order. People bark at what they do not understand. They bark at what they cannot control. They bark at what reminds them of their own weakness. But you must remember, you are not here to answer them. You are here to lead, to build, to create, to conquer. Do not waste your roar on dogs who will never understand the language of lions. This does not mean ignoring every challenge. A lion fights when it must, when the prey is worth the hunt, when the threat is real, when survival demands it. Likewise, you must fight battles that matter. Stand for your principles, defend your dreams, protect your values. But do not waste your time proving yourself to small-minded people who will never see your worth no matter what you do. Some battles are designed only to drain you. Greatness is knowing the difference. Learn to measure the weight of every situation. Ask yourself, does this matter to my purpose? Will this argument move me closer to my goals? Does this fight align with the vision I hold for my life? If the answer is no, walk away with dignity. Silence is not weakness, it is strategy. By refusing to fight petty battles, you preserve your energy for wars that matter. You remain strong when it counts, steady when it's needed, and powerful when the moment demands. Imagine a king who leaves his throne every day to quarrel with peasants in the streets. Eventually he loses the respect of his people, for he abandons his dignity by lowering himself. His crown means nothing if he behaves like the common man. Similarly, you cannot claim greatness while constantly descending into trivial conflicts. Stay on your throne, hold your crown, walk with the dignity of one who knows their value. The barking will continue, but your silence will echo louder than their noise. Petty battles also rob you of peace. When you are always reacting, always defending, always explaining, your mind becomes restless. Anxiety grows, anger festers, and clarity disappears. But when you rise above, you preserve inner peace. You walk lighter, freer, unshaken. Peace is not found in fighting everyone. It is found in knowing which fights are not worth fighting at all. The lion teaches us a final truth. Confidence is quiet. Insecurity is loud. Those who bark the loudest are often the weakest inside. Those who roar the least are often the strongest. The lion does not need to prove itself to a barking dog. It already knows who it is. In the same way, your greatness is not measured by how loudly you defend it, but by how steadily you live it. Your results, your growth, your accomplishments, your unshakable presence, these speak louder than any argument ever could. So the next time you hear the barking of dogs around you, remember who you are. Remember the throne you sit on, the crown you carry, the destiny you are pursuing. Do not flinch, do not bend, do not waste your roar on those who will never understand it. Stay focused, stay steady, stay noble. Your silence will confuse them, your calm will frustrate them, and your success will destroy their noise. The lion never flinches at barking dogs, and you must never stoop to petty battles. Your greatness is too valuable to be wasted, your energy too precious to be scattered, your vision too important to be delayed. Leave the barking behind. Keep moving forward with dignity. One day, your roar will echo across mountains, and the barking that once tried to stop you will be forgotten like whispers in the wind. Peace is the highest treasure. Guard it fiercely, for it is the foundation of all influence. Many chase money, power, recognition, or status, believing that these are the ultimate rewards of life. They build empires, accumulate wealth, and surround themselves with luxury, yet deep within they remain restless, unsettled, and unsatisfied. Why? Because without peace, all treasures lose their meaning. A restless mind cannot enjoy wealth. A troubled heart cannot enjoy success. A chaotic spirit cannot enjoy influence. True greatness is not built on noise or turbulence, but on peace, the calm, unshakable center that allows everything else to flourish. Peace is not simply the absence of conflict. It is the presence of control, clarity, and harmony within yourself. It is the state in which you are not pulled apart by distractions, not shaken by critics, not consumed by anger, not enslaved by fear. Peace is strength disguised as calm. It is power expressed through stillness. It is the foundation upon which real influence is built, because only those who are at peace with themselves can lead others, inspire confidence, and command respect. When a leader is restless, everyone around them feels it. Their anxiety spreads, their anger infects, their instability creates chaos in the lives of others. But when a leader is peaceful, they radiate stability. People feel safe in their presence, drawn to their calm, strengthened by their composure. Influence is not in the loud voice or the aggressive demand, but in the steady presence of one who cannot be rattled. Peace is magnetic. It attracts trust, it creates authority, and it establishes respect that no amount of noise can ever buy. Guarding peace requires discipline, because the world will constantly try to steal it. Every day brings distractions, criticism from others, problems at work, unexpected obstacles, and inner doubts. Each of these is an invitation to lose your peace. If you react to every insult, you surrender your calm. If you panic at every setback, you forfeit your stability. If you obsess over every fear, you sacrifice your clarity. Peace is not lost by force. It is surrendered by choice. You must decide every day to protect it, to guard it as fiercely as a king guards his crown, because once peace is gone, everything else becomes harder. Think of a river. When the water is calm, it reflects the world clearly. But when the water is disturbed, the reflection is broken and distorted. Your mind works the same way. In peace, you see life clearly. You make wise choices. You act with strength. But in turbulence, everything is distorted. You misinterpret situations, overreact to problems, and make decisions that lead to regret. Peace is clarity, and clarity is power. Lose peace, and you lose your ability to see the path forward. Guard peace, and the path reveals itself. Some people think peace comes from control over the outside world. If everything around them is perfect, then they can finally be at peace. But perfection never arrives. Life is unpredictable. People are flawed and problems are inevitable. Peace is not found outside. It is built inside. It is the ability to remain steady in the midst of storms, calm in the face of insults, unshaken when life tries to throw you off balance. The strongest trees are not those that never face wind, but those whose roots go so deep that no storm can uproot them. Likewise, the deepest peace is not found in calm days, but in steady roots that keep you grounded even in chaos. Guarding peace also means being selective about what you allow into your life. Not every relationship deserves your presence. Not every conversation deserves your time. Not every battle deserves your effort. Some people exist only to drain your peace with negativity, gossip, or endless complaints. Some situations exist only to rob you of your calm. When you choose to engage with them, you willingly hand over your treasure. Guarding peace requires walking away from toxic influences, refusing to let negativity occupy your mind, and protecting your inner space with the same care you would protect your most valuable possession. Peace is also tied to purpose. When you live without purpose, you are restless. You chase everything and catch nothing. You waste your energy on meaningless pursuits, and your spirit feels empty. But when you live with purpose, peace follows. You no longer need to compete with everyone. You no longer need to prove yourself in every small battle. You no longer feel the pressure of being everywhere, doing everything, pleasing everyone. Purpose simplifies your life, and simplicity brings peace. When you know where you are going, you are not shaken by distractions along the way. Peace is influenced because people naturally trust the calm. Imagine two ships caught in a storm. One captain is frantic, shouting in panic, reacting without thought. The other is calm, steady, composed, giving clear direction. Which crew would you follow? Which leader would you trust with your life? The answer is obvious. Calm is strength, and strength is influence. When people see you at peace while others are collapsing, they sense that you carry something rare. They will listen to your voice, follow your example, and respect your presence. Your peace becomes the anchor in their storm. But peace does not come automatically. It is cultivated. You must practice it in small ways every day. When irritation rises, breathe instead of reacting. When someone offends you, choose silence instead of retaliation. When problems come, focus on solutions instead of complaints. These small acts of discipline protect your peace. Over time, you become unshakable. What once angered you no longer matters. What once frightened you no longer disturbs you. What once distracted you no longer pulls you away. Peace becomes your natural state, your unshakable foundation. To guard peace fiercely also means to guard your thoughts. The mind is the battlefield where peace is won or lost. Negative thoughts, doubts, and fears are the seeds of restlessness. If you allow them to grow unchecked, they choke your peace. But if you replace them with gratitude, confidence, and vision, they nurture calm. The mind feeds the spirit. Guarding peace means guarding what you allow to live in your mind. Think thoughts that strengthen you, not weaken you. Think thoughts that build your calm, not break it. Peace is also power because it keeps you from being manipulated. Those who lack peace are easily controlled. Push the right button and they explode. Say the wrong word and they collapse. They are puppets, pulled by the strings of others. But those who are at peace cannot be manipulated. No insult shakes them. No praise blinds them. No pressure breaks them. They remain steady, untouchable, in control of themselves. And the one who controls themselves cannot be controlled by anyone else. That is the highest freedom, and it comes only from peace. So understand this truth. Peace is not a luxury. It is a necessity. It is not weakness. It is the root of power. It is not passivity. It is mastery. Peace is the highest treasure you will ever own, and without it, nothing else matters. Guard it with everything you have. Protect it from negativity, from distraction, from fear, from pettiness. Build it daily through discipline, perspective, purpose, and control of your mind. For when you have peace, you carry within you the foundation of all influence, the anchor of all strength, and the key to all lasting success. In the end, the world does not remember those who fought every battle, shouted at every critic, or lived in constant chaos. It remembers those who stood calm in the storm, steady in the struggle, unshaken in the fight. Peace is the mark of true greatness. Guard it fiercely, and your influence will grow beyond measure. Delay is not denial, rejection is redirection, and failure is fertilizer. Perspective makes you unshakable. Life often unfolds in ways we do not expect. The path is rarely straight, the journey rarely smooth, and the timing rarely aligned with our desires. Too many people interpret delay as defeat, rejection as proof of inadequacy, and failure as a final sentence. They give up too soon, surrender their dreams, and convince themselves that destiny has abandoned them. But those who rise above mediocrity understand a deeper truth. Everything is perspective. Delay simply means preparation. Rejection simply means protection. Failure simply means education. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is meaningless, and nothing is final unless you declare it so. With the right perspective, you become unshakable, because every experience serves you rather than destroys you. Delay has broken more spirits than disaster. People pray, plan, and pursue their goals, but when results take longer than expected, doubt begins to whisper. Maybe it's not for you. Maybe you don't have what it takes. Maybe it will never happen. They confuse delayed timing with denied destiny. Yet the truth is that life operates on a greater timetable than our own. The seed planted in the soil does not sprout overnight. It spends weeks, months, sometimes years preparing underground, unseen, hidden from view. Just because you do not see progress does not mean progress is not happening. Delay is often the universe arranging circumstances, shaping your character and strengthening your resolve so that when your breakthrough comes, you are ready to handle it. Think about it. What if everything you wanted came instantly? Would you truly be prepared for it? Success without preparation becomes a burden, not a blessing. Many who win too soon lose it just as quickly because they lack the maturity to sustain it. Delay is not punishment. It is preparation. It is the training ground where patience, resilience, and discipline are forged. If you can endure delay without quitting, you prove yourself ready for destiny. If you collapse in delay, you were never ready to hold greatness in the first place. Rejection, too, is misunderstood. Most see it as proof of their unworthiness. A job turned down, a relationship ended, an opportunity lost. It feels personal, like a mark of failure. But rejection is rarely about worth. It is about direction. The closed door is not always punishment, but protection. Sometimes the very thing you desire is not what you need. Sometimes the opportunity you chase would have led to destruction had you caught it. Rejection redirects you toward where you belong, toward doors that align with your destiny. History shows countless examples of this. Innovators rejected by investors who later found better partners, writers rejected by publishers who later produced masterpieces with others, dreamers rejected by crowds who later built movements of their own. Each rejection was painful in the moment, but necessary in the journey. If you can shift your perspective, you will see rejection not as the end, but as a rerouting. Every no carries within it a yes waiting in the right place. You are not being discarded. You are being redirected. And then there is failure, the most feared word of all. Failure has crushed more dreams than impossibility ever did. Not because it is final, but because people believe it is. In truth, failure is fertilizer. It stinks. It is messy, and no one enjoys it. But it is the very substance that enriches the soil for growth. Failure teaches what success cannot. It strips away arrogance, reveals weaknesses, and exposes blind spots. It builds resilience, sharpens skill, and strengthens character. Without failure, success becomes shallow, fragile, and temporary. With failure, success becomes deep, strong, and lasting. The most successful people in history are not those who avoided failure, but those who embraced it. They treated every setback as a lesson, every mistake as a teacher, every fall as a stepping stone. They understood that failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of the process of success. The athlete who loses learns how to train harder. The entrepreneur whose idea fails learns what the market truly needs. The student who stumbles on an exam learns how to study more effectively. Failure fertilizes growth, but only for those who refuse to quit. Perspective is everything. Delay is preparation. Rejection is redirection. And failure is education. Once you adopt this mindset, you become unshakable, because nothing can defeat you. If delay comes, you know it is strengthening you. If rejection comes, you know it is guiding you. If failure comes, you know it is teaching you. Every experience works for you, not against you. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is final. This perspective frees you from fear. You no longer dread rejection because you know it will redirect you to something better. You no longer panic and delay because you know timing is working in your favor. You no longer crumble at failure because you know it is enriching your soil for a stronger harvest. Fear loses its grip when perspective takes its place. Courage grows when you realize that nothing can truly stop you unless you stop yourself. Perspective also keeps you patient. When you see delay as denial, you rush and force doors that are not ready to open. But when you understand that delay is preparation, you wait with faith, knowing that what is yours will come at the right time. Patience becomes easier when you believe in purpose. Impatience fades when you trust the process. Perspective allows you to walk steadily instead of anxiously, confidently instead of fearfully. More importantly, perspective builds resilience. Life will test you. It will throw obstacles, detours, and disappointments at you. Without perspective, these tests break you. With perspective, they shape you. You no longer collapse under pressure. You grow stronger because of it. The storm that destroys others only deepens your roots. The setback that discourages others only fuels your determination. The rejection that embarrasses others only sharpens your direction. Resilience is born from perspective, and resilience makes you unstoppable. So how do you cultivate this perspective? It begins with choice. You must choose to interpret events differently. When delay comes, refuse to complain. Instead, ask, what is this preparing me for? When rejection strikes, refuse to feel unworthy. Instead, ask, where is this redirecting me? When failure happens, refuse to give up. Instead, ask, what is this teaching me? Your interpretation shapes your outcome. The same event that destroys one person can strengthen another depending on perspective. It also requires faith. Faith that the universe, God, or destiny has not abandoned you. Faith that everything has meaning even when you cannot yet see it. Faith that tomorrow will justify today's struggles. Faith transforms pain into purpose and disappointment into direction. Without faith, perspective is fragile. With faith, perspective is unbreakable. Delay, rejection, and failure will always exist. They are unavoidable companions on the road to greatness. You cannot escape them, but you can transform them. You can turn delay into training, rejection into guidance, and failure into growth. And when you do, you become untouchable. Nothing can defeat a person who turns every setback into strength. Nothing can break a spirit that refuses to interpret obstacles as endings. The unshakable are not those who avoid storms, but those who learn to dance in the rain. They do not crumble when the journey is slow. They do not give up when doors close. They do not stop when they stumble. They keep going because they see every step, whether forward or backward, as part of the same journey toward destiny. Perspective is their shield, their anchor, their power. So remember this, delay is not denial. Rejection is not destruction. Failure is not final. Each one is a tool, a teacher, a stepping stone. Guard your perspective as fiercely as you guard your peace, because perspective determines whether you rise or fall, whether you quit or continue, whether you see obstacles as enemies or allies. With the right perspective, nothing can shake you, nothing can stop you, and nothing can steal the destiny that belongs to you. Those who remain unshaken command trust, attract opportunity, and radiate unstoppable confidence. In a world where most people are easily rattled, easily discouraged, and easily thrown off balance, the one who remains steady stands apart. Life constantly delivers pressure, unexpected setbacks, criticism, uncertainty, and disappointment. The ordinary person reacts to each wave with fear or frustration, shifting their mood with every gust of wind. But the extraordinary individual learns to remain calm and steady no matter the storm. This composure is not indifference, it is mastery. It is the quiet strength of one who refuses to surrender control to circumstances, and it is this steadiness that commands trust, attracts opportunity, and radiates the kind of confidence that cannot be ignored. Trust is the currency of leadership and influence, and nothing builds trust like stability. People are naturally drawn to those they can rely on, those who do not collapse under pressure, those whose moods do not swing wildly with every challenge. When you remain unshaken in difficult times, you send a message. I can be depended upon. Others may panic, others may crumble, others may give up, but I will stand. That message earns respect. People begin to lean on you, to follow you, to place their faith in you. Trust is not built in moments of ease. It is built in moments of difficulty. When everything is falling apart, the one who remains steady becomes the anchor everyone else clings to. Imagine a ship at sea during a violent storm. The crew is terrified, the waves are crashing, and the winds are howling. All eyes turn to the captain. If the captain is panicked, shouting in fear, the crew will lose hope. But if the captain is calm, giving clear directions, holding the wheel firmly, the crew gains courage. Nothing about the storm changes, but the confidence of the leader changes how the crew faces it. Life works the same way. People will trust you when they see that storms cannot shake you. They will follow you when they see that chaos does not break your composure. Remaining unshaken also attracts opportunity. Opportunity is drawn to strength, not weakness. It is drawn to stability, not fragility. Employers, partners, and leaders look for people who can handle pressure without collapsing. They seek those who can remain calm in negotiations, steady in crises, and confident in uncertainty. Opportunity bypasses the unstable because instability is dangerous. But when you show that you cannot be rattled, doors begin to open. You are chosen for greater responsibility, trusted with bigger roles, and given chances others miss. The world is full of talent, but talent without steadiness goes unnoticed. The world rewards not just skill, but composure. Think of those who rise to positions of influence. It is not always the loudest or the most talented who climb the highest. It is the ones who remain steady when others lose control. In business, investors trust steady leaders with their money. In sports, teammates trust steady players with the game. In life, friends and families trust steady individuals with their hearts. Steadiness becomes a magnet, pulling opportunity toward you because you are seen as someone who can handle it. Confidence, too, is born from steadiness. Confidence is not about arrogance or loud declarations. It is about a calm certainty that radiates from within. The one who remains unshaken does not need to shout about their strength. Their silence speaks. Their calmness in the face of adversity sends a louder message than any words could. True confidence is quiet, steady, and unmovable. It is not dependent on applause or recognition. It comes from knowing who you are, what you stand for, and what you can endure. When you remain unshaken, you project this confidence without even trying. People feel it in your presence. They sense that you cannot be easily broken, that you cannot be manipulated by fear, that you cannot be swayed by temporary noise. This confidence attracts people because most are searching for stability in a world of chaos. Your composure becomes a light in the storm, and people are drawn to it instinctively. But this ability to remain unshaken does not come by accident. It is cultivated. It begins with perspective. When you understand that obstacles are temporary, that rejection is redirection, that failure is fertilizer, you no longer panic at setbacks. You see the bigger picture. You recognize that storms do not last forever, that difficulty is part of growth. With this perspective, you can remain calm where others collapse. You do not see every challenge as the end of the road, but as part of the journey. It also requires discipline. Remaining unshaken is not about suppressing emotion, but mastering it. Discipline teaches you to pause before reacting, to breathe before speaking, to think before acting. Discipline builds patience, and patience is the anchor of composure. Without discipline, the smallest irritation will disturb you. With discipline, even the largest storm cannot uproot you. Another key to remaining unshaken is purpose. When you know your purpose, you are not easily moved by distractions. You understand what matters and what does not. Petty battles lose their appeal. Small insults roll off your back. Temporary setbacks cannot shake a long-term vision. Purpose steadies you, reminding you of the bigger mission even when the details feel overwhelming. Without purpose, you are tossed around by every wave. With purpose, you set your course and remain steady no matter the weather. Remaining unshaken also requires protecting your peace. Chaos thrives on reaction. Critics thrive on your attention. Negativity thrives when you feed it, but when you guard your peace by refusing to engage in unnecessary battles, by walking away from toxic environments, by centering your mind, you strengthen your steadiness. Peace is the soil where confidence grows. Without it, you are easily shaken. With it, you become untouchable. The power of steadiness is seen most clearly in crisis. When everyone else loses their balance, the steady person rises in value. In times of fear, people look for courage. In times of panic, people look for calm. In times of confusion, people look for clarity. If you can be the unshaken one in the storm, you become indispensable. You become the leader, even if no title has been given to you. Influence is not granted by words alone. It is earned by composure when it matters most. The truth is, people do not remember how you acted when life was easy. They remember how you carried yourself when life was hard. They remember whether you fell apart or stood firm. They remember whether you spread fear or radiated calm. Your legacy will not be defined by comfort, but by crisis. To remain unshaken in those moments is to leave a mark that cannot be erased. To train yourself for steadiness, practice calm in small frustrations so you can master it in big challenges. When the little storms come, remain composed. They are rehearsals for greater storms ahead. Strengthen your perspective, discipline, purpose, and peace until steadiness becomes your nature, not your performance. Soon, no insult can wound you. No delay can frustrate you. No failure can discourage you. No storm can move you. You will stand tall while others fall, and in that steadiness you will command trust, attract opportunity, and radiate confidence. Because in the end, the world belongs not to the frantic or the fearful, but to the steady. It belongs to those who cannot be moved by noise, shaken by chaos, or broken by failure. It belongs to those who remain unshaken, for they are the ones others follow. Opportunities find, and confidence surrounds. Become that person unshaken, untouchable, unstoppable, and you will discover that true influence is not in reacting, but in standing firm when it matters most. Freedom is not the absence of chains on the body, but the absence of chains on the spirit. A person can walk unguarded, without locks, without bars, and yet still be imprisoned by fear, doubt, anger, and limitation. Another can be locked behind walls, with heavy restrictions placed on their physical movements, yet still live freer than most, because their spirit cannot be broken, their vision cannot be dimmed, and their will cannot be chained. True freedom begins within. It is not granted by governments, societies, or circumstances. It is forged in the mind, protected in the heart, and lived in the choices you make each day. The greatest prison most people live in is not made of stone or iron, but of invisible walls. Walls built from fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of rejection, and fear of stepping beyond what is comfortable. They live in cages of comparison, always measuring themselves against others and believing they are not enough. They chain themselves with excuses, convincing themselves that the time isn't right, that they are not capable, that someone else must grant them permission to rise. These are the chains heavier than any shackles because they keep you bound while you appear free. You walk, talk, and breathe like a free person, but inside you are imprisoned by your own doubts. Freedom of spirit comes when you decide that your worth is not dependent on outside approval. It comes when you refuse to be governed by fear, when you stop waiting for someone else to tell you it's possible, and when you recognize that nothing external has the right to dictate your inner state. A free spirit cannot be broken by rejection, because rejection is simply redirection. A free spirit cannot be trapped by failure, because failure is seen as feedback, as education. A free spirit cannot be silenced by criticism, because criticism is a reflection of the critic, not the truth of your worth. History shows us that the most powerful movements, the greatest transformations, have been led by those whose spirits were free even when their bodies were not. They may have been exiled, imprisoned, or ridiculed, but no wall or chain could confine their vision. That is the mark of true freedom, to live with such clarity of purpose, such unshakable conviction, that no circumstance can define your spirit. You begin to live truly free when you realize you always have a choice. You may not always control what happens to you, but you can always control how you respond. You may not always choose the environment, but you can choose your mindset. You may not always stop the storm, but you can decide whether to dance in the rain or cower in fear. That power of choice is the essence of freedom. When you recognize that your inner world belongs only to you, that no one else can command your thoughts or force your perspective, you begin to taste the real meaning of liberty. Most people surrender their freedom without realizing it. They give it away to circumstances, to emotions, to the opinions of others. They allow a rude word to ruin their day. They allow a failure to destroy their confidence. They allow fear to block them from pursuing their dreams. Each time they give in, they place another chain on their spirit. Slowly they become bound, not by external force, but by their own surrender. True freedom is refusing to give away this power. It is the decision to govern your own spirit, to take responsibility for your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. The beauty of freedom of spirit is that it cannot be bought or sold. It cannot be granted or taken away. It is yours the moment you claim it. No authority can legislate it into existence for you, and no oppressor can steal it from you if you guard it fiercely. It begins the moment you decide that nothing outside you has the right to enslave your inside. That is why some of the most joyful people in the world have the least in terms of possessions, while some of the most miserable have everything money can buy. Because freedom is not about what you own. It is about what owns you. When you free your spirit, you become untouchable. Challenges no longer intimidate you. They excite you. Rejection no longer wounds you. It refines you. Setbacks no longer paralyze you. They strengthen you. You begin to live boldly because the worst that can happen to your body, your possessions, or your circumstances does not reach your core. They may touch your life, but they cannot touch your essence. And when you live from that place, you radiate a confidence, a joy, and a peace that cannot be explained. Others feel it. They see it. They want to know the source of it. That is the power of a free spirit. It not only transforms your life, but becomes a light for others who are still trapped. Freedom of spirit also allows you to love without fear. Most people withhold love because they are afraid of rejection, betrayal, or pain. But a free spirit understands that love is not a weakness, but a strength. It is not a chain, but an expression of freedom. To love openly, without condition, without guarantee of return, requires a spirit unbound by fear. When you are free within, you are not afraid of giving yourself fully because you know your worth is not diminished by how others receive it. It also allows you to pursue dreams others call impossible. The chains of doubt keep most people from attempting greatness. They are afraid of what people will say if they fail, so they never try. But a free spirit does not measure success by the opinions of others. They dare greatly not because they are guaranteed to win, but because not trying would be the true defeat. They pursue dreams with boldness because they are not enslaved by the fear of failure or ridicule. Living with a free spirit requires courage. Courage to break the chains of approval, of fear, of doubt, of excuses. It requires the willingness to walk alone at times, to stand firm when others conform, to believe when no one else does. But the reward is priceless, a life lived fully, boldly, and authentically. A life where you are not a prisoner of your emotions, not a slave to the past, not a victim of circumstances, but the master of your own destiny. True freedom begins the moment you say, I refuse to let anything outside me dictate what happens inside me. From that moment, the locks fall away. You may face storms, you may face rejection, you may face failure, but your spirit will not bow. You will stand tall, unbroken, untouchable. You will walk through life not as a prisoner waiting for release, but as a free being creating your path. And when you live with that kind of freedom, no chain, no wall, no force on earth can hold you back. Act as if nothing bothers you until nothing truly does. Mastery begins as a choice and ends as your nature. Every great transformation in life begins with a decision, a small spark of willpower that says, this is who I choose to become. You may not feel unbothered at first. You may still feel the sting of insults, the frustration of delays, the weight of setbacks. But if you make the choice to act as though you are unshaken, if you carry yourself with calm, poise, and strength, something powerful begins to happen inside you. Over time, your actions reshape your emotions, your behavior rewires your mindset, and what once required effort becomes natural. Pretending becomes practicing, practicing becomes mastering, and mastery becomes your second nature. The mind learns through repetition. Every time you respond to negativity with peace instead of anger, you teach yourself that you are in control. Every time you walk away from petty battles instead of being dragged into them, you reinforce that you are above such distractions. Every time you hold your composure when everything around you is chaotic, you train your spirit to remain calm, no matter what comes. At first, it may feel like you are wearing a mask, acting unbothered while chaos brews inside. But even that act of self-control is planting seeds of strength. Eventually, those seeds grow into roots so deep that nothing external can move you. This is the secret. Mastery does not come overnight. It is built piece by piece through choices made in the quiet moments of life. You will be tested by delays, by failures, by criticism, by people who seek to push your buttons. Each moment is an opportunity. Each situation is a chance to practice the art of remaining unbothered. At first you may slip, you may react, you may fall into old patterns. But the more you return to the choice to remain calm, the choice to carry yourself with dignity, the stronger you become. What once felt unnatural becomes instinct. This is why the phrase begins with act as if. Acting is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. You may not yet be the person who is fully unshaken, but you can behave like that person. You can stand tall, breathe deeply, and walk away when you want to lash out. You can speak with calm when you want to scream. You can smile when you want to frown. This is not hypocrisy, it is training. You are teaching your mind and body a new way of being. And just like an athlete trains their muscles or a musician trains their fingers, you are training your spirit to move with mastery. Soon, the act is no longer an act. It becomes your nature. You find that insults no longer sting because you no longer tie your worth to the opinions of others. You discover that setbacks no longer crush you because you see them as part of growth. You realize that delays no longer frustrate you because you have cultivated patience. The emotions that once had power over you lose their grip. You become unbothered not because you are pretending, but because you have become stronger than the things that used to disturb you. The truth is, most people remain trapped because they wait to feel unbothered before acting unbothered. They say, once I feel confident, I will speak with confidence. Once I feel calm, I will act calm. Once I feel strong, I will carry myself as strong. But the mind does not work this way. You do not wait to feel, you act first, and the feelings follow. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is acting in spite of it. Confidence is not waiting until you feel ready. It is stepping forward when you are not. Mastery of calmness works the same way. You do not wait until you feel unbothered. You act as if you are until you truly are. Life will constantly test your composure. The world is filled with noise, distractions, criticism, and chaos. But when you have trained yourself to act unbothered, none of it can shake you. People will notice. They will see that you are not moved by gossip, not discouraged by failure, not swayed by petty battles. They will respect your steadiness. More importantly, you will respect yourself. You will discover the deep inner peace that comes from knowing you are in command of yourself. This mastery is not about ignoring problems or suppressing emotions. It is about rising above them. It is about understanding that your energy is too valuable to waste on irritation, that your focus is too important to surrender to distraction. When you act unbothered, you are not denying reality. You are asserting your strength. You are saying, yes, this challenge exists, but it does not control me. Yes, this insult was spoken, but it does not define me. Yes, this setback happened, but it will not stop me. That is not denial. That is dominance. When mastery becomes your nature, life transforms. You move through challenges with grace. You handle rejection with dignity. You pursue dreams with courage. You no longer waste time fighting shadows or chasing distractions. You focus on what matters, and in doing so, you rise above the noise. People will wonder how you remain so calm. They will wonder why nothing seems to bother you. What they do not see is the years of training, the countless choices, the discipline to act unbothered when you did not feel it. They see the results, but they do not see the process. And that is the essence of mastery. What was once effort becomes effortless. Even more powerful is this truth. When you act as if nothing bothers you, you stop feeding energy to the very things that try to disturb you. Negativity thrives on reaction. Insults thrive on attention. Chaos thrives on panic. When you refuse to give them your energy, they lose their power. Slowly, the world adapts to your steadiness. The storms still come, but they pass quickly because you do not fuel them. People may try to rattle you, but they give up when they realize they cannot. You become like a mountain unmoved, steady, immovable. Acting unbothered is the seed. Mastery of calm is the tree. At first, it may feel small, fragile, unnatural. But if you nurture it, if you protect it, if you choose it again and again, it grows into something unshakable. It becomes who you are. The greatest freedom you can ever achieve is freedom from being disturbed by what does not deserve your energy. And that freedom begins with a choice. One choice, repeated daily until it becomes your nature. So act as if nothing bothers you. Stand tall when you feel weak. Smile when you feel discouraged. Walk with dignity when you feel rejected. Speak with calm when chaos surrounds you. Each time you do, you are not pretending, you are practicing. And one day you will wake up and realize that what once felt like practice has become your natural state. Nothing bothers you, not because you are faking it, but because you have mastered yourself. Mastery began as a choice, but now it has become your nature, and that is the highest form of strength a person can ever possess.